It has not been a good week for NASCAR. We already talked about yesterday and the penalty with Kevin Harvick and the suspicion with that part. We're not going to talk about that, but we got another penalty to discuss. A penalty that really isn't a penalty. So William Byron, a couple of weeks ago at Texas Motor Speedway, give you the backstory. He wrecked Denny Hamlin under caution. Now NASCAR didn't call this for some reason. They didn't see it. Nothing happened to William Byron. Hamlin lost his position because he was second or third when he got taken out by Byron under caution. Ended up having going to the rear, and I think he still finished in 10th, but could have had a much better result if it weren't for that spin. Well, originally, because NASCAR missed it, NASCAR fined and docked William Byron points. William Byron was fined $75,000 and was docked 25 driver and owner points originally. Now, Hendrick Motorsports, they filed an appeal. Me and others assumed that that appeal would be denied. Well, apparently it wasn't. According to the National Motorsports Appeal Board or Appeal Panel, they changed the penalty for William Byron. Now, he doesn't have a points deduction. He gets his 25 points back, and instead he will be fined $100,000 for the wreck. Now, if you are a William Byron or Hendrick Motorsports fan, you are elated by this because originally, heading into the Charlotte Roval, Byron was 10th in the standings, minus 11 below the cut line. Now, he is 7th in the playoff grid, 14 points above the cut line. Completely changed the game on how the 24 team approaches this race in terms of strategy and also how the other 10 teams in the playoff grid. Okay, I understand this is the appeal board. This is the National Motorsports Appeal Board, so it's not really much NASCAR. It's more the appeal board. But why? First of all, this is just going to bring a conspiracy in that Hendrick paid their way to have a minor penalty. I mean, think about a $100,000 fine. That's nothing for a team like Hendrick Motorsports. Maybe for William Byron, but I'm pretty sure Hendrick will help cover that. But yeah, something like this to go from what seemed to be, I thought, a reasonable penalty because NASCAR wanted to set an example. They missed the call. They created this whole mess, but they tried to save it by giving what was, in my opinion, a harsh but understandable penalty to William Byron. Now, some people may feel like the penalty was too harsh. Some people may feel like the penalty was not too harsh, whichever you stand on the spectrum. But to have something like this, you set a precedent at the beginning. This is what the penalty is for doing something like that. To then change it to just have just a fine sets an example that, oh, hey, you can go ahead and wreck drivers under caution without any issues and you'll be fine. You just get a fine. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of 2012 at Phoenix when Jeff Gordon wrecked Clint Boyer. Gordon should have been suspended for next weekend or for the next race, which was Homestead at that period of time. He should have been suspended, but NASCAR, they just gave him a $100,000 fine. And because he's Jeff Gordon, this is during the Brian France era. But in this new era, under new leadership, something like this should not be tolerated. First of all, number one, you should not have missed the call. And if something like this happens, you have to set a precedent. Hey, don't do this. This is not right. This is a violation of our code of conduct, rule book, and this is what's going to happen. By you changing it to just a $100K fine, what does that say? Because remember, Denny Hamlin said he's coming for William Byron. He's got a hit list on him. So if Hamlin does what Byron did to him, if Hamlin wrecks Byron, Hamlin should only get a fine. He should not be deducted any points, just a fine. That is it. Because that's the precedent you're setting. You can wreck drivers under caution whenever. You can wreck drivers on purpose and all you're getting is just a fine. That's the precedent y'all are setting, which is not good. Again, I understand that the National Motorsports Appeal Panel made the decision, not NASCAR themselves. However, you have to set a precedent. Where is the line? There's so many issues with NASCAR that need to be fixed with the next gen car in terms of, drivers feeling their frustrations with this new car and the lack of communication and also officiating. And we're talking about consistent officiating, which has been an issue for NASCAR for a long time. This is not a foreign topic. What Byron did on Sunday at Texas to Denny Hamlin was worthy of a penalty in some way, shape, or form. The penalty that they gave out originally was, in my opinion, the right penalty. Yeah, they messed up, but they kind of made it up for that type of penalty. It sent a message to the garage, do not do this. By you changing that to just a fine, sends a message that, hey, it don't matter. If we fine you or if we penalize you points, you can just appeal it and based off of history, of how cases like this have been dealt. Your fine will be appealed and we'll just, force you to give us money and you'll get to keep your points. Which is, again, for a team like Hendrick Motorsports, that is nothing. They basically weren't penalized because $100K for Hendrick Motorsports is chump change for him or for that team. I'm just not a fan of this decision. I felt like the penalty should have stand, and I think the appeal panel made an extremely bad decision by changing the penalty to just a fine for Byron. I mean, I understand if you're a Byron fan or a Hendrick Motorsports fan, you're going to be very, very happy, but it's not a good look for NASCAR. For something like that, a situation they created, how it all started from start to finish, it's just how it was handled from top to bottom was poorly managed. But what are your thoughts on the penalty being reversed? Do you feel like this was the right decision by the appeal panel to just fine William Byron and keep his points? Or do you feel like this was a bad decision and feel like he should have been deducted points? And just overall your thoughts on this entire situation, because again, this whole thing could have been stopped at the get-go. And the fact that it carried on this long and the fact that it went up to this point with the results of Byron and what the penalty is going to do for his season, I'm just not a fan of it. What are your thoughts on this? Tell me in the comment section down below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Jet. See you next time.